Hello. In this session, I'm going to demonstrate you how to actually cut your facing pattern. Now, for the facing, you will need to trace the front panel of your morning code, as you see what I've done now. And when you've done that, with appropriate information, it always helps. The first things you need to do is, when you trace your dart, is ignore the dart, because the facing would not have darts. Facing doesn't have darts. That extra information, that extra fabric of that in the dart will have to be eased into the facing, into the lapel. So that's what is it for. So, and we're going to do now. I'm going to show you later on how to do that. So the first thing, so that would be ignore. That's it. The next part you will need to do is, now we're going to measure what the facing, the width of the facing will be. Different tailors have different sizes, and that's absolutely fine. This is my way and this is my size. So at the shoulders, already marked here, if you can see clearly, it's 5 centimeters. So if on the shoulder there, we're going to mark 5 centimeters. At the bottom, mark 10 centimeters. Like that, mark 10 centimeters. Now connect them. I usually connect them with a curvy line. That way it's the facing and the lining in the between sits nicely. So just a nice curve. I'll just go to that line now. So just a nice curve, which is just give you that good shape. So that's became our facing. That's all that part is your lining. Okay, so just going to cut in the middle. There we go. So I said it before, it's that some tailors do slightly differently, and that's absolutely fine. So that's our facing, and that is safe, because make sure is they can see the break line, make sure it's all covered, and we're not going to see any line from another side. That's why I thought, you have to give a good amount of the fabric for your facing. And that part just became your lining. So now I'll just quickly talk about the seam allowance for that as well. So your facing will be cut in top fabric. So you have to remember this will be cut in the same fabric as your morning coat. The seam allowance will be similar to your seam allowance of your morning coat. So 5 centimeters at the front edge. So I'm going to write it down, 5 centimeters. 2.5 along the lapel and go to your neckline, 2.5 seam allowance. 5 centimeters on the shoulders, that's part, it's 5 centimeters on the shoulders. 5 centimeters along the bottom, 5 centimeters. And the join line here, which is joins with the lining, is 2.5 centimeters. As I said it before, this seam allowance is what I advise you to have. You don't have to have it. You don't have to have that big, but that's what I advise you to have, and that is in accordance with the seam allowance of your morning coat. So all that to do with that. So that's your facing, and this part pattern became your lining pattern. And as you see already drafted the straight of grain, which is, if you put that together, will be parallel. So if I just put that grain together, that line is parallel to the line which is parallel to your center front. So it's parallel to that. And that's how you're finding the straight of grain for your lining. Now in your lining, that's the front part of your lining, so slightly look different, of course, to your top pattern. Similar for that would be is on the seam, which is joined with the facing. It's the same as the facing is 2.5. Easy, keep it simple. Shoulder, it's 5 centimeters. And you know what, it does help you to have extra similars in the lining. 2.5 around your armhole, that area. Along your side seam is 2.5. And then of course at the bottom, 5 centimeters, the same as in your top fabric. 5 centimeters. The reason I do that, if you do cut your facing and your lining before your fitting, you have to do any adjustments and any changes after the fitting, at least you have those similars to help you. And also, you know, as I said, sometimes during the process of your making, certain things get changed and the lining can sometimes shrink. And also you have to have slightly bigger lining in order to fit in, so it doesn't actually pull your you know, the lining doesn't pull when you are fitting your lining into your modern coat, which I will show you and I will explain you in our lessons why and the reason of what you need to do and accordingly to avoid any pulling and avoid any tightness in the lining. So it's very, very important that you do that. So yeah, here are plenty similars, you know, in that. So this one is our lining and the facing. There we go. Got 2 patterns ready for you. Thank you and see you later. Bye.